Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we've got Josh.
Hey.
This is gonna be the backlash of our WrestleMania episode, because that is what we are talking about this week. All 6 matches, but they were good matches on the WrestleMania Backlash card. We'll talk a little bit about what happened on Raw afterwards, and a little bit about what happened on NXT. But to open up, just wanted to point out, this is now the second show in a row, if you include WrestleMania, where we haven't had a match on our kickoff show.
Imagine that. Maybe they decided to do away with that and just have all the matches on the card.
I guess this one, when you've only got 6 matches, it's kind of hard to put one on the pre-show, because it kind of does leave the rest of your show empty, but there was a lot of matches that weren't happening on the show, and the kickoff show always seemed like just another way to get another match on the card. So I don't know, it just seems strange, I guess, to be holding back matches from the premium live events. But what it did mean is that our show opened up with one of the good matches, they're all good, of the show, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, number 2. We talked about how it shouldn't go 2-0, and then after 20 minutes, they decided it should go 2-0.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense the way they did it. Cody won because he pulled on the tights after Seth pulled on his tights.
A little bit of payback, a little bit of revenge.
Yep.
That means it's totally allowed, right?
If the ref doesn't see it, is it really cheating?
Yeah. And from what I've heard in the general opinion of people have preferred this match to their WrestleMania match.
Definitely pretty good. We're definitely getting a third match, probably in the sale, and I'm fine with that.
Here comes the question, though. It's Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, third one in a cell. Rhodes is up 2-0. Do they let Rollins pick up a win finally, or are we going 3-0?
I think at this point you have to give the feud to Cody, and Seth winning just continues the feud.
True. So it's going to be a 3-0 demolition of Seth Rollins.
Yeah, essentially. Personally, what I probably would have done is split these two after this second match, but having intertwine every now and then, but never facing directly, until eventually Seth wins the WWE Championship and Cody faces Seth at WrestleMania for the title, and that's when Cody gets his moment with the title.
Yeah, because it was an interesting one on Raw, right? Because Cody Rhodes gets handed a United States title opportunity against Theory, which originally was really worrying for Theory's title run, but it was just a Seth Rollins run-in spot. And it does, as you say, seem like this is going to extend out at least another month to the next premium live event, and just raise questions, I guess, for what's next for both of them after all of this ends up.
Yeah, but that I don't think there were really any questions for it, because I think we all knew Cody wasn't winning the title.
I was really hoping.
Especially since Theory had just won it not too long ago, so we knew Seth was getting involved.
Did you give Cody a Dolph Ziggler's chance?
No.
We don't do that anymore, because that always just leads to bad. This feud to me is very similar, I guess, to the Edge AJ Styles feud, which I will jump ahead and we'll discuss at the same time. Where we had our opener at WrestleMania, and then we've had our rematch now at Backlash. The same person won both times. They both look to be heading for a third match, and possibly in the cell for both of them even. And it just seems like, I guess, the classic 3-match feud is a thing that we saw a lot with Edge come his return, and now we're seeing here with Cody Rhodes again. I'm just drawing a couple of little parallels between Rhodes and Edge here.
As long as the matches are good, I don't really care for multiple matches in the series. I'm not one of those people that hated on match number 50 million between Orton and Cena, because they were always good. So I'm fine with it. I do think after Hell in a Cell, they do need to split these foreign people from each other for a while. Even if it's just like trading opponents.
Cody
like Edge
versus
facing
Edge.
Cody, Edge, and AJ versus Seth.
Those are two great feuds.
I don't think they would do that because I don't know if you could put Edge under Cody, but I don't think you could put Cody under Edge. So I don't think that's an option, but it's like, that was the first thing I thought of. It's like, even if you switch the opponents, just get them away from each other after Hell in a Cell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is a point where you do have to sort of snap it apart. But talking about the Edge storyline, Judgment Day has just been, I guess, evolving and evolving. We saw the WrestleMania match end with a Damian Priest interference. We see here the Backlash match end with a Rhea Ripley interference. And now we've got a solid stable of 3 people. We have AJ and Finn Balor and possibly even Liv Morgan on the other side. So I expect some form of combination match coming up, but maybe we don't get a third Edge AJ.
They definitely threw logic out the window in this match. Because the second that Damian Priest ended up at ringside, they should have disqualified Edge immediately.
Yeah.
Because he was banned from ringside, and he ended up at ringside while the referee was very much awake. So, yeah. Although that was just to provide a distraction, so the real distraction could take effect.
I would like that idea as a thing, right? Because it's more goofy booking ideas, just as a complete and utter side piece. If there's a match between like A and B and C is banned from ringside, if B could just like get their goons, beat up C, and just drag them out and throw them into the ringside area and be like, look, I should win. I don't know. That, like, basically what Finn did here, right? Because Finn forced Damian into the ringside area. I just feel like that'd be a funny way to end a match. Goofy as all hell, but funny.
Yeah, and it would be by the spirit of the rules. Priest is banned from ringside. That should result in the person Priest is working with getting disqualified because it breaks the rules of the match.
But yeah, as you say, this one was specifically just to build up to that Rhea Ripley turn with the dyed black hair, really fitting in with that Judgment Day look.
Yeah.
And
I had picked Tommaso Ciampa, though, to join the faction. People I was watching with was picking either Alexa or Rhea, and I wanted to see Ciampa.
I'm sure we have future expansions that will still be maneuvering around here. I don't know where they want to go with Judgment Day. As I said, like, it looks like maybe Edge and Priest versus Styles and Balor, maybe. But there's a lot of different ways you can head once you got a faction like this, especially with the mixed gender, with Rhea being involved and still trying to finish off her feud with Liv Morgan, it seems. If there's anything left of Liv Morgan after their match on Raw.
Yeah, Liv had a very interesting Twitter after that reveal. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. But I do got to get through a couple more of the matches here as well. We do have Omos and Bobby Lashley 2. There was a lot of WrestleMania rematches. Maybe it should just be renamed WrestleMania Rematch instead of WrestleMania Backlash.
No, WrestleMania Backlash works because it's a backlash of WrestleMania matches.
Yeah. 4 of them, I believe, were repeat. 4 of the 6.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with this outcome. It was a good match this time. I think it was Omos's best match so far. And it makes sense that...
Third match.
It makes sense that Omos won here with MVP's help. And we'll see where we go from here.
I'm continuing the trend. We're getting a third match between these two. But for a WrestleMania rematch where we will definitely not be getting our third match anytime soon, we have the I Quit match for the SmackDown Women's Championship, the only championship on the line at this premium live event. Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, much better than their first match as well.
Yeah. This time it actually worked. There was a lot of chemistry. The two women just absolutely brought it. What can you say? Charlotte Flair needs some time off to go get married.
Yeah, she gets to go right off into the sunset.
Yeah, so she gets time off with a broken arm. Quotation marks around.
Yeah. And Ronda gets to hold the SmackDown Women's Championship and I guess accept all challenges. We don't quite know, I guess, who's going to be challenger number one stepping up to her. But we'll have to see. Ronda had now held both of them.
I did say that there was a pretty good chance that Ronda Rousey takes Charlotte Flair's arm. And she did.
Kayfabe-wise, she did, yeah. That is definitely the case. But before we get to talk about much more, I'm going to go into our entrance theme here just because it is thematically making sense, because it is the entrance theme for our brand new SmackDown Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey. And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. We've got 2 more matches from Backlash still to talk about, including the massive main event, as well as some results from Raw and NXT. So let's just crack into it with the match we all knew exactly how it was going to go. Madcap Moss, Happy Corbin.
It was a good match. It wasn't great, but it was what it needed to be. Madcap wins. Hopefully he can move on and do some other stuff. I don't know where this leads for Happy Corbin, but it was definitely what Madcap needed to move forward.
Yeah. It's really a hard one here, right? Because I'm sure on a normal pay-per-view that this would look great, even as a match, but if you look at this card as a whole, you got Rhodes Rollins that brought it, you got Edge Styles that brought it, Rousey Flair was great, and the main event was amazing, so there was 4 out of 6 matches that were tippity top. Made it kind of hard for Omos and for Madcap to stand out up against the card of amazing matches around them.
Yeah, this main event was really
match of the night.
Yeah, I loved the little fake out at the beginning when Drew wanted Roman. Roman tagged in. They went around the ring once, and then Roman immediately tagged right back out.
Yeah,
that was hilarious, and I called it when I was watching it with some friends.
They definitely brought everything they had for this match. This match was comedy. This match was storytelling. This match was everything. I still, as we discussed in the preview show for this last week, might not have preferred this outcome, but this was the obvious outcome out of the two. And I presume down the line this is still leading to the Usos versus RK Bro and to Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, and those matches on their own are going to be great and may even have the exact same outcomes as we saw this weekend.
The bloodline stood tall, as we expected.
Yeah.
I will say this, I'm a little shocked that Riddle took the fall. Riddle was the one guy I think needed the most protection, especially if you're going to do stuff with it as a solo after whatever they decide to do, RK Bro. I think either having him be the winner of the match or not being involved in the finish would be for the best. But they decided to put Riddle under, maybe because they're planning to do maybe Orton versus Reigns at the pay-per-view at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
They didn't want to put Orton under him, and they're not ready for Drew and Roman to really lock up.
No, I think that's for certain after all that teasing and everything that, we all know Reigns McIntyre is the money match. And so we're not going to get handed that at WrestleMania Backlash. The big question for me is still around those tag titles, right? Like, we had it booked that those tag titles were going to be unified. Is this still the path they want to be taking with those? Or are we just going to be tying them up and seeing what we're going to do before we get there?
I don't know, because they definitely didn't show any signs here on Raw, but since SmackDown hasn't aired yet, we don't really know what they plan with SmackDown. They did have a promo where they said they still wanted the unified of the titles, the Raw champion. So it's possible that they may still do the match, maybe just have it at Hell in a Cell. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is, and I think that's for the best.
Yeah. Unpredictability is good and fun. But let's talk a little bit about those things on Raw, things that might not have manifested or have been a massive part of WrestleMania Backlash. And I guess the big one on that is Sonya Deville her official contract is no longer a thing, and we get a return.
Yeah, she got fired as as an WWE official. So she's now a full-time in-ring talent, which we kind of needed. We kind of needed another body, and it's good to see DeVille in that role again. And she seems to be having a mental breakdown at the moment. All the while, we get somebody back who just had a mental breakdown, storyline-wise.
Yeah.
And is on the way back, and seeming to show character signs of the original character, but still carrying things around that remind us of the broken down character.
Yeah, it's a hard one, right? Alexa Bliss seems to be almost merging the Fiend piece and the Goddess sort of characters together. Don't quite know where they're going to head. We only got, a very short glimpse of Alexa in this match. It was not a very long match. And yeah, we have to wait and see what they're going to end up doing with Alexa. Last we heard, she didn't really have any massive plans. She came back, she did a little bit of something in the Elimination Chamber, and now she's back, and based on what we can see, probably back for a little while.
Yeah, they definitely have plans for her. I do think they'll slowly fade out the Fiend stuff. The doll being probably the last thing that will go once we get the full-on character of the Goddess, at which point we will have another strong heel to go chase after our champion who did not defend her title at the pay-per-view. Yeah.
Which is the other storyline that I wanted to mention here, because we got a Asuka versus Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair's challenger list seems to just be ever increasing, because Asuka is standing there at the front. Becky Lynch is interfering and standing there in line. Alexa Bliss is returning. We got quite a few people. Rhea Ripley just getting going in Judgment Day. There could be a lot of potential matchups for Bianca Belair here.
Yeah, she's definitely not the case like Becky was. Becky was very limited in the amount of people that was left for her to face as champion. Once we bookended its story with Belair. Belair is being a face, has an infinite list of people that can face her. Whereas a heel has kind of limited because they don't typically do heel versus heel. But they will do face versus face matches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know exactly where we're headed. It seems as though at least a Bianca Belair, Asuka, Becky Lynch triple threat might be the very first piece we've got coming up. We can put everybody else away from title feuds. Rhea's got some stuff. Bliss has got some stuff. The tag team champions have got some stuff. So that feels like the immediate first thing that they do, but we've just had a pay-per-view and we didn't have that match. It would have made way more sense to put that match on the show, and instead maybe we're delaying out till Hell in a Cell, or maybe we're just going to have the match on a random Raw.
I think it was just part of building the storyline. Maybe they didn't feel like it was built strong enough for the pay-per-view, so they decided to skip it.
Yeah.
Because they only brought Asuka back, last week?
It's true. She hasn't had a long time to build a feud against Bianca Belair. Her built-in feud with Becky Lynch is sitting there, but it's the Bianca Belair stuff that need to do something with.
So, I'm fine with it, because they really didn't have anything for Belair at the time of the pay-per-view. So I'm fine with them skipping it and having a little more time to develop a overall story, which they seem to be doing.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so we will have to see how that all works out. But one thing I do want to grab before we run out of time here, we've been sitting around talking about, when we talk about NXT, the future of this women's division. There's the breakout tournament going on right now. There's the feuds with Natalya coming down. But the clear thing that I want to bring our attention to and to talk about is Stone Cold Cora Jade with the finish of that main event match. And, echoing the past, Natalya ends up locking in the Sharpshooter, and Cora Jade, not as bloody as Steve was, just ends up passing out in the middle of the ring for the referee stoppage.
I think this was a great match, and I think it was what it promised to be. And what it needed to be. Did Cora need to beat Natalya? Not necessarily. There is something for saying that for her not giving up that can be just as powerful, if not more, than her straight up beating Natalya.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you brought up a great comparison with it being with Steve Austin. That whole match with that submission match with Bret Hart. Yeah, it would have been great if he beat Bret, but the images and stuff that we still see to this day from him not giving in and passing out was part of what catapulted and escalated him straight to the moon. Because it was just 1 year later he was winning the world title.
So 1 year later, Cora Jade's going to be winning the Women's Championship?
Definitely sometime down within that year. As I said earlier in a previous show, I could see her winning it around SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think the future is bright for Cora, and having this match with Natalya, getting all of that knowledge, and as you say, not necessarily winning, but still just being showcased to such a point. Like, she was still the main event. She was still the focal point of this match. People aren't going to come out of this match going like, wow, Natalya can put on a good match. They're going to come out of this match going, you know, that Cora Jade girl, she's pretty damn good.
She's getting better with each match that she has. She's getting better. People have to remember, Cora Jade is only 21 years old. She's not had a lot of experience. So her working with somebody with Natalya who has 15 years of experience, maybe, is just chef's kiss.
Somehow you made chef's kiss work on an audio-only platform. The only other thing I want to talk about from NXT for sure before we run out of time, there was a mixed tag team match that involved Saray, Andre Chase, Tiffany Stratton, and Grayson Waller, your boy, but purely just for the entrance here. I don't know what power this medallion that Saray has, but when she walked through that curtain, she did her magical girl transformation as she always did, and all of a sudden, Andre Chase and his buddy are dressed up also as magical girls, or in different colored clothes and crop tops, and I don't know, it was just a nice little piece of comedy to go in there and then beat the ever-loving poop out of Waller and Stratton.
Yeah, I think that's a fun little gimmick. I don't think it's something that can get, like, SmackDown or Raw Women's Champions level. I think they'll need to evolve it a lot. But it's something fun to watch for the mid-card. So if they kept that on her and brought her up, that'd be fine. But I think they would have to do a lot more in-depth characters for her to actually be taken seriously.
There is something to be said about, I guess, getting a piece of your gimmick being a talking point or being something that we can focus on, but it does need to evolve. Other than just popping through the curtain. I just liked how they worked it in with Chase and with Hayward here. I don't know if that's going to be an all the time thing. I have a feeling this mixed tag team match was a one-off, but it was good for what it was.
It just furthers the characters, and that's what we need.
Yeah,
more character.
Alrighty, well, do you think there's anything that we have missed that you definitely want to talk about in the last dying minutes of this show?
How about we just pick a prediction on who wins the breakout tournament?
Alrighty. Breakout tournament for the NXT woman. Do you have somebody? I guess I can run down the competitors. Obviously, some of these matches have already taken place on NXT, but we got Nikita Lyons, we got Ariana Grace, we got Fallon Henley, we got Sloane Jacobs, Roxanne Perez, Kiana James, Lash Legend, and Tatum Paxley.
I think it's either going to be Nikita Lyons or probably somebody like... I don't want it to be Lash Legend versus... We don't need that.
Yeah, that feels like it would just be a bit of a waste. We've had that match a few times. That's already been the feud. We don't really need that to be the breakout tournament grand finals. I'm hoping we're going to get something like a Nikita Lyons versus like a Roxanne Perez kind of thing. I think Lash Legend falls in the semifinals, hopefully. And in terms of a winner... Nikita Lyons makes the most sense, so I'm going to go all in on my money on her.
Yeah, I initially looked at it, I'm like, this is set up for Nikita Lyons, specifically. And that's why I originally was like, I was going to pick her, and then I'm like, I think they have her lose in the finals. Maybe by distraction or something, but I think she loses. So I picked Kiana James just randomly as, like, I don't know.
Well, good luck, because we will get to see that quarterfinal matchup next week, and we'll see if my pick or your pick get through from it. But that is all we have time for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRNDup, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRNDup, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/WrestlingRNDup, and we will catch you next week.